In the Second Republic, you were a member of the House of Assembly of Oyo State, the old Oyo State, comprising of Oyo and Osun states now. Back then, I think you were elected as a 26-year-old lawyer. And now there's this clamor for youth participation in politics. There's this not too young to run, and we hear say no to recycling of politicians and all that. Sir, what is your view of youth participation in politics?
Let me say that the Nigerian Constitution is very clear on qualifications for elections. For the purpose of House of Assembly, it is 18 years and above. Of course, for governorship, it has to be 35, and it has no limit. So it will be unconstitutional for there to be a bar as to age. So whether one is a young man or an old man, everybody under the Constitution has a right. What determines your capability is whether you have the right mental, a foundation, whether you have the right education, whether you have the acceptability by the electorate and so on. I recall that during Babangida's era, he had this philosophy that youths must be allowed, to come into politics. At the 26 when I became, a member of the House of Assembly as a lawyer, I mean, there was no platform of youth having to, aspire. There was no special platform for youth. I had the good luck of meeting with Chief Obafemi when he came to Shaki, my hometown. I was still a student then, and I got inspired by his statement to my people at that time that if you have young men who are educated, encourage them to come into politics because the military would soon be lifting the ban on politics. I catch in on that. I went to meet Chief Olo in at a proper lead, and since then we established a relationship. So I mean, youth don't have anybody who has the competence, the capability and the potential, don't have to wait for any, program of youth empowerment and all of that. You get, if you have the right, mental frame of work, you move in. I recall I was trying to mention the issue of Babangida. At the stage, Babangida started a campaign of youth moving into politics, and a lot of youth on that platform came in. And most of them were worse in terms of corruption, in terms of greed, in terms of not doing things properly. So for me, whether one is a youth or not, there must not be, but as long as you have the minimum age, and of course also the minimum educational qualification of school certificate.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. And let me just, I'm interested in getting to know more about how you, in quote, fraternize, how you started your fraternity with Chief Obafemi Awolowo. How did you meet him? What protocols did you follow by the time you went to Apapa Lane?
Yes. You see, then
sir, I'm sorry. Then you now tell us your impression of him. Then compare him to today's political leaders. Do they even have patience or tolerance for today's youths?
We were on holidays, I think it was sometime in 1977. The military government then had announced that they were soon to lift the ban on politics after about 13 years of military rule. And so Chief Alo, as a foremost Yoruba politician at that time, decided to go to all Yoruba towns and villages where he had had political allies to sensitize them that politics would soon, be, starting afresh, resuming. And he wanted to ensure that they got ready for it because he was still interested at that time to contest for the presidency of Nigeria. So he came to Shaki and, it was big news in town that Chief Alo was coming to meet with the political leaders there, our elders. Out of curiosity, I went there as a small boy, sat in the corner to listen to him. because before then I was, you know, I was obsessed with reading newspapers. There was hardly any newspaper at that time, particularly Daily Times, Sunday Times, and Tribune, and all of that. And so I was already aware of, you know, political figures and their past contributions. So I went there, and, you know, of all that he said that day, he spoke for more than an hour. But what struck me was his suggestion or recommendation to the elders. Obviously, because he knew that most of them were not educated. And then in their time, I mean, how many people would have had a university education, for instance, in my village? So he said to them, if you have children who are educated and are interested in politics, please encourage them. When I heard that, at that time, I didn't know of any other